welcome to another episode of Annie Talks, where we bring to you interesting stories about interesting people that you want to know about. I'm your host, Annie Rivera. Thank you for tuning in, and to those who have already subscribed. If you're new to the podcast, welcome, and I hope you enjoy what you hear. And if so, I personally invite you to subscribe. Annie Talks is brought to you by Luxwear Trends, affordable, luxurious timepieces for every occasion, luxury that lasts forever, and that's what sets us apart from others. Find us on Facebook and Instagram or visit luxweartrends.com. That's Luxe weartrends.com. My guest on today's show is someone I met through a friend of a friend of a friend. In fact, I met him through a group of local comedians who I have come to know very recently. He is active in the comedy club circuit as a stand-up comedian. Jamario McClain, based out of Los Angeles, has a unique stand-up style and delivery with the energy to light up a room. He performs regularly at comedy clubs in LA, such as the Comedy Store, Laugh Factory, and the Ice House. Jamario has also played many casinos, including Pechanga Casino, San Manuel Casino in California, and the Stratosphere, Tropicana, Edgewater Casino, and Casa, Blanca Casino in Nevada. His recent TV credits include the show Laughs on Hulu. Here now is my conversation with Jamario McClain. Jamario, thank you so much for being on my show. I truly appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yay! We are good to go. Okay, so why don't you give us a sense of your background? Give us a little bit of who Jamario is.
Background, I'm LA. I was raised in Pico Rivera. Went to college at Cerritos, and I transferred to Arkansas. And that's when I started, writing, as far as material and jokes when I was in college. It was more out of boredom. And then I just had some kind of epiphany. It's never wanting to have anything to do with getting into show business, but it was realizing all the things I was missing out when I was in college in Arkansas, because I went out there for football and scholarship, but it was still I feel like military school. I feel like I was in jail because it was boring, and it was not a good experience when I first got there because we were 2-8. We weren't winning, and living in the dorms, and it was a dry county. I went to a private school. It was just a lot of things that made me more, more to myself. And that's when I started writing more. And then I was like, I'm going to try doing stand-up. But then I did a talent show out there, but I was like, I'm going to try it when I get back to LA. And it was one of those dares. Not saying I'm going to pursue it as a career. It was I just want to try it. I'm going to try to work this material, these stories I've been writing. A lot of it was made up. Some of it was real life stories. And then, it took me a year to actually have to build up the nerve from after I graduated from college. And then I actually, first time I ever did comedy ever, a book show back in LA was at a barbershop in downtown LA, near Skid Row. This was official book show. And, some people come out. It was a nice turnout. And I did good, and it was one of those, it came naturally, or people didn't believe it was my first time doing it, even though I wrote the material and I had, stuff that I've been wanting to try and work out, but it finally, it was just one of those, not say I got bit by a bug, but it was oh yeah, this is I want to do it. I want to do more of this. I want to do it again. It was a rush. It was a good feeling. That first performance, and the guy that booked me, his name, I'm not in touch with him no more. His name was Martini. It was a black guy named Martini, and he dated this girl named Jules, and she was a white girl. And I know she ended up working at the downtown comedy club when it was open with Garrett Morris's comedy club. And I lost touch with Martini. I know his Facebook account is still on, but I just kind of haven't talked to him in years. And this was back in 2009. This was the end of 2009. And it was just I always Martini talked to me after, and he was like, "You really, this is your first time doing it?" I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "You did open mics?" I was like, "No, I did kind of a talent show, but it was it wasn't open mic." And then And he was like, yeah, you're funny. He was like, you should just, like, the jokes you got are funny. You should just keep those. I don't know. It was like weird the way he said it. He was like, just make those better. There's a lot of new comedians do. They always like want to do new jokes, like always like. And if you have something that's funny or work, just make it better and like build 10 minutes. And this is the first time I'm doing stand up, and for him to give me that advice, it kind of helped me, or kind of like, I don't know, word polish made me like what he was saying, like, all right, I'm gonna do 10 minutes of what I already have and just make it better. And then it kind of just built, and it got 10 minutes turned into 15, turned into 20 minutes. You know what I'm trying to say?
Right. So it's hard to go from, a big city like LA to, a small town feel, going to college, and sometimes you think that, you have what's before you, and then things take a turn. So in your case, it out of boredom, it sounds like, right, that you started doing writing.
Like I got my bachelor's degree in communications, and I wanted to get into broadcasting. I never really pursued it. After I started doing stand-up, it kind of like, I do some acting and all that, but I never kind of it took a life of its own. But going out there to Arkansas was just like, I needed that, I guess, like you're saying. Like, it was like, I realized that all the stuff that was back home that I never really took advantage of or had a chance. And even starting stand-up in LA is a challenge in its own, because, you don't want to bomb at comedy clubs when you first starting and people remember you that. So it's like, you have to build yourself up at bars or other shows and get stronger as a comedian. Because in LA, they'd be more, it's critical on you because they see you develop. Instead of as somebody started in another city and they move to LA once they get, their, kind of 30 minutes on stage kind of comfortable, or they get their TV credits. But yeah, that's a challenge. That was a challenge in its own right. But it's a beautiful struggle. I love it. Because I'm definitely not moving nowhere. I'm staying. That's where I'm from. I'm not going nowhere.
So it sounds like you went straight from college to stand-up comedian. So
yeah, right.
What was that defining moment? What was the actual moment that you finally said, "Aha! I think this is what I want to do"? And it sounds like you had kind of like your own break into business moment. What was that? What was that like?
Well, yeah, all right. So I had my son Elijah. He's going to turn 11 this year. So I feel like I started stand-up late. I started at 25.
That's not late.
Compared to, like, some kids, like, I know people started, like, before they were 18, or, just in general, like, as far as you want something that you want to do as a career or passion, or, your life calling, what they say. But I have two sons, and my first son, he was born when I was, like, my first semester in college, and I wasn't doing stand-up yet, but just in general, when I got back to LA and the end of '09, I graduated college in 2008, but I didn't start doing stand-up to the end of 2009. And, just having a kid and balancing that, I was still working. I wasn't doing it like, I was just doing it as a hobby, wasn't getting paid. That's definitely wasn't the case. So it was like, I was working at Marshalls, and I was doing bringer shows. I was doing shows, working in retail. That's when I first was new at it. And, it happened in like 2016, because in December of this year, it'll be, it'll be 9 years.
Wow.
And, what it is like, I was working at Costco, and this was like in 2015, 2016. And then, I made a decision, like, cause I was missing a lot of opportunities, and I made a decision that I was going to quit that job and just, I'd still do other things. Like, I drive for the Lyft, and I do stand up full time. But it's like one of those, like, I have to be available. I'm like dedicated to this. I'm not gonna, and that's when I made that defining decision. But it was a show I did where I got paid. It was like to open up for Alicia Cooper and Michael Coiler for National Medical Association, and where I got paid like, it was like $700 for 20 minutes. And I was like, I can't miss opportunities like that. So it was like, I already made my mind up, like, I have to be available for road gigs or certain gigs, or just I had to create my own lane. I started producing my own shows in 2011, like at a restaurant and bars, and I've done some at some comedy clubs, but it was still general, like, yeah, like you could create your own lane. If you want to eat, you have to work. You have to put in work. And in order to work, you have to be available. You have to have an open availability. You don't never know when you're going to get an opportunity, but it's good to be ready for your opportunity. So it's just one of those. I made that decision. I want to say career defining moment. Cause like as far as like, you know, it's a beautiful struggle. Like I have some credits and, I was on Laugh, on Hulu and Fox and, went on the road with like some comics, but it was like one of those like, yeah, it's the journey in itself is when you could say, oh yeah, like I have to drive to Oregon 14 hours to do a little casino for 40, 50 people. Like, yeah, that's a beautiful struggle. I think it's because I'm not going to be able to do 30 minutes on stage in LA. So it's like one of those, like it's a give and take.
So it just comes with the territory, you know. It's just, you know, this is the life, and it's the life you choose, and it's just, and you already know kind of what's ahead of you. So what comedians or who influenced you growing up as a comedian, or what comedians influenced you or inspired you?
Oh, inspired me, like I for sure grew up watching like A Living Color, so like the Wayans brothers. Like James Fox, Tommy Davidson, Martin Lawrence, like those, like Chris Tucker, that's my generation. But then as I got older, it was like Seinfeld, Chappelle. I always liked Chappelle since like Nutty Professor and Half Baked, but his stand-up wise, yeah, like Killing Me Softly. This is like before the new Chappelle, the new revolution of Chappelle. Like he was always like kind of like that influence that's like universal appeal. But yeah, like D.L. Hughley, Alex Thomas, like Jamie Foxx for sure. Like I grew up on the Don't Be a Menace to South Central or Drinking Your Juice in the Hood, like that kind of, like that parody, those comics, Chris Spencer, I feel like, was my inspiration, inspired Keenan Ivory Wayans. Cause cause that's what I grew up on. Like as I got older, like I appreciate Pryor, Bill Cosby and all that, but I kind of just didn't grow up on them. They were ahead of, like, you know, I was too young. They were obviously, like Richard Pryor is like a king of comedy and George Carlin, but I didn't grow up on them, so I couldn't say they inspired me. But I learned from them now as a comedian when I look up and listen to their albums and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you grow up with the era in which you live, so your influences are still great. You know, the Wayans brothers are just hilarious, right? So, you know, this is what we know, and this is what influenced you, and that's all good. So, talk about some of the those people in your life who had the greatest impact on you growing up.
So for sure, my mom. Well, my parents, I could say. Well, my dad was always working, but my mom, she was that. They both have a sense of humor, so my mom is like one of those, like, she's more of a funnier, outgoing personality type, and she always kept us busy. Cause, like, you know, I'm her only son. My dad had a son from his previous marriage, and and I have 5 sisters, so kind of growing up in the house, like, she made sure I was busy. I played sports, and she's still the number one supporter, like as far as, like, you know, coming to my shows, like even some that's kind of far, like out Ontario Improv or something. And, yeah, like growing up, I used to get in trouble, and I act out when I was younger, and that was just for attention mostly, or, you know, like she could have made it, like, you know, way harder on me, could have sent me to military school, but she tried to just keep me busy, and she always was supportive, even when I was being a badass in school and getting referrals. And I almost got expelled in high school. I almost got expelled because I had the copy to the keys to the gate. But then I started selling the copy to them, or, you know, where people could ditch, like the master copy to, like, the locks. And I almost got expelled because of that, and she was still supporting me, like, even in that. Like, they were really trying to give it to me. Going to college, like, even when I went to Australia and Hawaii, that was all because of my mom. Like, right out of college, I went out there for, like, basically like a senior trip. but it was to play sports. It was to run track. And she did the fundraising and raise the money for me to go out there. And she didn't even get to go. Like, she could have went, but she, couldn't afford to go with me. So she made sure I got to have that experience. And, for sure, to this day, yeah, she's the one that's still funny and goofy and be twerking at parties and stuff.
So now let's segue into some of your challenges. You talked a little bit earlier about your journey, your stand-up comedian journey. So talk a little bit about some of the obstacles you've faced, and then talk about some of the greatest moments or memorable moments you've had.
Well, I wouldn't say obstacles. I think it's just part of the process of politics. Where I believe in, you put in work, it's gonna pay off no matter what. And it's like in LA, like I said, so if you're not on TV or, headline, if you ain't like a name where you want to say on the marquee, it's harder to be on stage for one, like go do 3 minutes, 7 minutes at a club. It's fun and all good and everything. But ain't no bookers or industry people are going to really see how funny you are unless you have to send them tape, and you're not going to be able to do that unless you're on the road. So it's like kind of catch-22.
Right.
But a lot of these clubs, like, they have favorites and all that, and I know a lot of comedians that's working, and I just feel like you have to just put in work, and then your time's gonna come. Everyone has their time, so it's like in LA, it's like you could get discouraged because you do see people that's like passing you up or they get opportunities more. So it's like, okay, what do I have to do? And so, but I think that's just in comedy in general. Like, you have to stay competitive, and you can't really compare yourself. But that is an obstacle though, because it's like. It's cool, like, I'm a comedian. Like, I could go on the road, I could go on stage, if somebody needs me on stage 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or an hour, I could do it. Funny, I'm not gonna be up there doing crowd work, or you could tell when someone's reaching, like, I actually have material. Alright, so it's a comedian, where it's comedians that are actors, and they have to do comedy too. But you could tell they're actors first, they're not comedians first. And then you have like social media guys that do all sketches and parodies and videos for Instagram and YouTube, where it's still comedy, but they're not comedians. They don't go in front of a bright light in front of strangers and try to make them laugh. Like, it's just a little different. So it's like one of those, like, people see when you put in work and you pay your dues. And I believe in that. So it's like, I'm putting in my work. Like, I don't never have to deny that. But staying in LA, yeah, I want to get past the comedy store. I want to get past the Laugh Factory, but it's still like the politics and having to go through that process. And it's, it's a beautiful struggle. So like I said, it's always going to be like, I ain't going nowhere, so I'm going to be here.
I love that mantra, beautiful struggle, because it's kind of, it's an oxymoron, but it's a good one, because it is beautiful, because you do have to put you have to put the work in, and you have to put you have to pay your dues, but it's definitely, it's a struggle because, you still have to go through the process. You still have to put the work in, and then at the end of the tunnel, the payoff comes. So I get you. That's life. It's life in general, and it's everything else. So absolutely. So now talk about some of the memorable moments. What's one of the memorable things that you can talk and share about, maybe being on the road, and then talk about what maybe your greatest achievement?
A memorable moment in stand up. I got my first TV credit was doing Laughs, and we got to filming at Pechanga, and it was cool. And it was good. It was a good learning lesson. 'Cause I have clean material, and it's funny, like, you want to have universal appeal. And then, I had a really good set. I got to book other clubs because of that set, like going on the road. But it was, I do a lot of physical comedy. I don't be doing backflips on stage or doing like crazy act outs, but I do act outs. Like, I do I do act outs a lot, where I use my body and for visuals. And when they told us, like, oh, if we're going, like, oh yeah, you have to stay between the tape right there for the camera. So I was like, oh man, that changed up my whole set. Like, I did the same things I was gonna do, but it still kind of threw me off. So you gotta always be prepared. Where literally it was like, I don't even want to say a little 5 foot, little space. It was really basically like shoulder length, but it was like, yeah, you have to stay in that square because that's where the camera's at, and they don't want you moving a lot. And that was just one of those where I still had a great set, but it was still like, it's like you have a ball of energy, and then when you're staying, like, you just want to let it go.
Yeah. How do you contain that, right? Yeah, sure. I hope you're enjoying this podcast episode. We'll be right back after this short message from one of our sponsors. Comfotherm thermal wraps are designed to help relieve the pain and swelling in and around the jaw, especially after wisdom teeth extractions. For more information, visit comfotherm.com. That's comfotherm.com. Talk about your greatest achievement so far.
Greatest achievement would be, for one, it was like I said, you have that epiphany, I don't know the word, like you have that eye-opening, kind of realizing that you're the driver and you're in control of your career. You can have agents, you can have managers, but you're still like, you're the one that can say yes or no to certain things. You're the one that put in the work. And I had that epiphany a long time ago that you could create something. We all could. You don't have to be a comedian to ever. You create something from nothing, literally. And then I started my own company from doing stand up, and it was more nice. finding more opportunities and finding a niche or finding ways to also make money besides the regular path of doing comedy clubs and colleges and fundraisers. But I believe in it's like therapeutic. So like I started where it's called Laugh. It's called Laugh on Us, where I do like shows at hospitals, like nursing homes, and it was like cool. It's just general, like I don't want to say it's like a break, it's memorable because it took a life on its own. I've been doing that for like almost 2 years, and like it's like day comedy, like a day club where I do that during the day. For example, like for Father's Day, I have 2 on Father's Day. And Father's Day is really big in general because we celebrate Mother's Day, like, for sure. That's like a given. Father's Day especially in the black community, it's a little taboo or stigma of fathers not being there for the kids or not being in the household. So I kind of want to change that kind of stereotype. And just in general, like just being there, and creating my own lane that's for that. That's something separate. Like that's like don't need no limelight, no attention, but it's still something I would do for free. I just having to get paid to do it. And I feel like that's like the most, like in general, when you do something you love, that's the whole point. The money will come. It's inevitable.
Right. When you do something you love, it doesn't feel like work. It feels more like you're giving back. So I get that. And then the reward is obviously the monetary, but I get you. I know what that, I feel that with you. So now talk about how you come up with your material. How do you come up with the material for your show? Are you more scripted? Are you more improv style? Or who is Jamario?
My style, I'm like a storyteller, but I'll tell like there'd be some true story, there'd be some stuff I make up, but it's like it's like I told you. Remember, I was working on a set before I even started stand up, and I have it's all improvised. It's like it's not. I mean, not right. It's all. I have a set list of what I'm going to talk about. So I don't want to say it's like, it's not freestyle. Some stuff be improvised. Like if I get heckled or I do some crowd riffing and stuff, but it'd be mostly like I know what I'm going to talk about when I go up there.
Right.
Just because that's what I've been doing since the beginning. I always have that like a set list, and it helps with my memory too. Like even if I throw a new joke in or something, if I have a list that I'm looking over before I go on stage, I just have that fresh in my mind. So it's definitely never improvised. It's always something that's been done before or rehearsed, or I just try to add to it and twist to it and add to it like a Lego block.
But you also have an organic piece about that too, because like you said, you kind of play off of the audience, whether there's hecklers or, and I get that. And I think that's to me the mark of a true comedian, true professional. And if you can do that and you can achieve that, that's like I said, a great mark of being good comedian. I love that. So now, can you talk about if you were to do something completely different, let's say in your professional career, or, while you're molding, and we're still molding our professional careers, what would you do differently, or what would you tell your 21-year-old self about your future?
I would definitely tell him to not drink as much and smoke as much weed, because a lot of unnecessary, the extracurricular activity could be time consuming. But definitely I would tell him, like, still do your own thing, like, cause like you create your own lane, and to be able to get bigger or get stronger, I want to say bigger, get stronger and get better at comedy, you have to be on stage. So you have to create your own stages sometimes. So that's all I would tell myself. Still do that, but I also still pursue the comedy club, like, to get past the Laugh Factory and still go to the open mics. Like, you're never above any of that, like, while you're still new at it. Because because in LA it could be like, feel like some open mics are depressing. It makes you not even want to do them. Some of them are very encouraging, and some of them are cool. But like, if you go and keep going every week and you don't get to go up, or you'll have to wait 5 hours to get up, it could be kind of discouraging. And I was telling them to keep at it, because it's going to get better. It's going to get better. You're going to get stronger. You're going to get more opportunities. But the whole point, you have to keep doing it and be on stage as much as possible until you can be so busy you have to say no because you're already booked.
Good advice. Good advice not only for yourself, but for everybody else, just to keep pushing and doing it. You just can't give up. You just keep going, moving forward, right? You can't stand still, but you can definitely move forward, for sure. So now, as a comedian, because you make everybody else laugh, and we come to see you to relax. We come to see you to decompress. What do you as a comedian do? What do you do to relax? How do you decompress, and what do you do for leisure?
Well, I have my kids, so I like playing with them. They've been doing a lot of video games, and we like to go outdoor. I'm definitely I like to work out. It's definitely a stress reliever. Relaxes me too. Like after, try to go at least 3 times a week. It's the same thing. Like, you got to stay. It's like muscle memory. You got to be on stage and on mic at least 3 times a week. So I do this similar with the gym. But yeah, I think chilling with my kids is the most relaxing. It's kind of like one of those I don't know, time stand still kind of. Especially my younger son. He's only 4. And he's clinched to me, everything I do. He always wants to, just so active.
Yeah. So he looks up to you.
Well, especially now, yeah, because I have time right now during the day, to pick them up. And my older son lives a little farther. He lives in West Covina. He goes to school in Walnut. I'm out in Long Beach area, so when I get him, he's more of a computer and video games, but he likes to play sports too. But my younger son just likes to be outside a lot.
Awesome. Now, for parting words for young comedians who are, want to come up, or what kind of words or advice would you give them to starting out, or, what path should they take?
Definitely stay hitting up open mics no matter where we're at. I would tell them if you have, even if it's at a laundromat, you have to be on stage. The newer you at, the newer you at a stand-up, the more you got to be on stage. Just because it's you got to put in 10,000 hours of perfecting your craft. But definitely, I was telling to build 5 minutes, make your 5 minutes strong, and then 5 minutes turn into 10 minutes, 10 minutes turn into 15 minutes. But definitely, build your 5 minutes first, and it's gonna turn to 10 minutes. Like the same thing I was telling Martini told me, because if you always writing new jokes, you never know how good it's gonna get because you're always writing new ones. So you have some jokes that are probably great that could be better, but you kind of, because even then it just happens, you just stop saying certain jokes, you kind of outgrow them. You stop, so it's you want to build that, what your repertoire is, what that's going to work. You can have it in your back pocket. So if you're not doing too well, you always have that joke to go to that's funny. And I would say the only way you're going to know that is being on stage. And there'd be some people that kind of get over the nerve fight and all that. It just comes as a territory. You get used to it, and you become what's the word? Your skin gets you get tougher skin, and that's the only way you're gonna do it is being on stage more.
Awesome. Now, where can we follow you? How can we, your listeners and your followers, follow you on social media? Can you shout out your social media?
Now, my social media, I'm actually, I use all of them under the same name. My Twitter is Jamario McClain, at Jamario McClain. My Instagram is at Jamario McClain. And then my Facebook, at Jamario, is Jamario. My last name, MCC. Capital C-L-A-I-N. It's only 2 C's. I did say 3 C's right there. Jamario McClain. Yeah, I know, like John McClain from Die Hard. When I first started, I was going to change it to J McClain because a lot of people messed up my name. But then I was like, no, I'll just stick to my name because, I don't know, I feel like it's a lot of J, like J Davis, J Phillips. There's a lot of J's, like it's kind of more general. And I was like, nah, it's cool. I'll just use my government name.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show. And thank you so much for all your tidbits and for allowing us to get to know Jamario McClain. I'm super excited, and I'm super excited for everybody to hear. So thank you again so much for being on the show. And I will also shout out or list on the show notes below and the description all of your upcoming show dates that you sent to me. So we definitely want to shout those out to you, and we'll let everybody know where you're going to be so they can come see you.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna send out the detailed information about some of the dates, but yeah, like June 3rd, we're doing, it's called Underdogs of Comedy, where it's actually like a live taping. We're doing that in Santa Fe Springs. I forgot the studio they're doing it at, but yeah, comedians that definitely reach out to Dwight Beverly because he's looking for polished, good comedians for this show, Underdogs of Comedy. And then also on that's for June 3rd, Sunday. And on June 13th, I'm going to be opening for Bruce Jingles at the Ontario Improv. That's a Wednesday.
Nice.
And then June 16th, it's a show in Downey at a place called Gotti's Nightclub on June 16th. And that's a Friday. That's a Friday or Saturday. The Friday? Yeah, it's a Saturday. At Gotti's in Downey. I know, right? Because I just said June 13th was a Wednesday. But yeah, those are shows coming up. If anybody hollering at anybody who's gonna happen to be in Laughlin, I'm gonna be doing the Edgewater Casino in July, from July 27th to July 29th at the Edgewater Casino in Laughlin. So if anybody's out there, holler at me, Laughlin, for July. Yeah, that's it. Thank you again, Annie. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you again so much for being on the show. Well, that's it, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Annie Talks and learning about the upcoming new comedian, Jamario McClain. He has a strong work ethic and has mapped out the path he wants to take to make it to the top. I will list Jamario's upcoming performances in the show notes below, and if you're in the area and interested in catching one of those shows, be sure to check out those dates and times. So, before we sign off, if you aren't already subscribed to my podcast, I invite you to hit subscribe and be notified anytime we upload a new episode. If you are already subscribed, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. If you could all please rate and review my podcast, please leave a comment or two. It would really help me out, and it would also help others to find this podcast. And lastly, if you like this podcast, please consider contributing to my Patreon page. Your contributions will help to further the vision and mission of Annie Talks so that we could produce more episodes like this one and many other types of episodes and topics. The Patreon page will be listed in the show notes below as well. Thank you all again for tuning in, and keep listening to Annie Talks.
Yo, this is Jamario McClain, comedian extraordinaire. You listening to Annie Talks. Stay tuned.